Hey there, family. This is Tiffany Largy, founder of Onwards to Freedom, and I've got just a quick note. Fear. I can't tell you how many times I've had experiences that have left me like this, where I'm like, you know the emoji with the big eyes? That's exactly how I feel. And it's easy when you get in those instances, when you get in that place where you're like, I don't know if I want to do that again. It's like either you had an experience or you walked down a road and that road didn't feel good. And it's so easy for us to say, I'm not doing that again, never in my life. And you know what happens? You're so afraid of the flipping outcome that you get stuck. You know, I can't, if you think about really the essence of fear, it has one clear objective, like one objective. I don't care if it's an idea you have. I don't care if you're trying to find a new relationship. I don't care if you're trying to leave a job. It doesn't matter if you're trying to bring out an idea, or maybe it's a conversation you need to have with someone that you love or care about. But at the end of the day, make no mistake about it, fear is an immobilizer, which means that its number one objective, its number one key is to keep us trapped. It's like we're in a cage and the lock for the cage is on the inside, and the truth of the matter is that we're the only ones who have the key. Like, we're the only ones that have the key in which we can open it on the other side. Now, what's so funny about that is that not only are we the only ones that have a key, but we're the only ones who can let ourselves out. Like, no one can let ourselves out. You know, for me, not only am I absolutely clear on what fear plays a role, on in my life, but let me also make this kind of statement. The fascinating thing about fear is that it's okay to be afraid. Like, sometimes I think we get delusional and we're like, oh, well, there are people out there who are superheroes and they're fearless and they fear nothing, and I'd like to be like them. And until I can live in a place where I too am fearless, then I won't be ready to do X, Y, Z. When the absolute truth is that it's okay to be afraid. Crazy, I know, but literally it's okay to be afraid. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've been afraid. The trick to this thing is it's okay to be afraid, but you've got to move anyways. You hear that? So it's like you can be afraid, but even when we're afraid, we have to move anyways. And the reason why is because movement is the antonym of fear. Fear hates movement in any capacity, because it's literally, fear hates movement. It's totally against every and any last thing that you could ever want to do. Gosh, when you're afraid, the last thing you want to do is stay still. When you're afraid, the last thing you want to do is not move. The last thing you want to do is caution yourself or peel back or, I'm not sure. Because you know what happens? If you think about people around you, think about people who are older than you. It could be a grandma, an aunt, a friend. How many times did you hear or know or learn about the thing that they wish they would have tried when? How many times have you asked a question like, hey, what did you want to be when you grew up? Or what did you want to do, when you were my age, or something like that? And they're like, well, I wanted to do ... Chances are they didn't do it, or they didn't tap into it because they didn't have the resources, they weren't in the right place or right time, but because they were so afraid, and that fear kept them trapped. Do not be trapped. Even if you try something and it doesn't work out, I mean, man, we try our best to be good stewards, at least I do, of helping, right? Of giving back. And it's not for the sake of giving back. It's really because of the fact that I always remember myself being in need. I remember myself being on the receiving end of this thing. And I also remember me not having anyone to give to me, not having anyone to pour into me, not having anyone to support me. So because I remember that, that's one of the key reasons why it's just part of my life. And if you've ever met my children, spent time with them, I have tried my best to teach them and walk them down that path as well. Because at the end of the day, I always know that we have the capacity to be on the receiving end. And because that's the truth, imagine if, so I just, I had an experience today which prompted me to have this conversation with you. I had an experience today where someone who we gave to, we just literally gave, it backfired. And I think not backfired, but I think she got some information about us that wasn't true, or she got some information about our motive in giving. And I'm like, that's so amazing, because what can we possibly gain in the best world ever? There's nothing for us to gain from that gift. Now, in essence, we may be thinking to ourselves, well, gosh, that didn't work that time. It's not the right, or it didn't feel good, or the reaction, but that doesn't mean you earn the right to allow fear to control all your actions moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that you earn the right to allow fear to control your actions moving forward. So what if you gave and it didn't work out? So what if you loved and it didn't work out? So what if you tried to start a business? What if you tried to venture out, or to move somewhere new, or to tap into new things, or maybe even start a hobby? So what if you tried and it didn't work out? That doesn't give you the right to let fear keep you kind of in this trap, you know, where fear is like constantly after you and all you're thinking is, I just have to move away from it. It's okay to be afraid, but let me tell you, you are not living until you allow yourself the permission to do this one key thing. Move anyways. That's it. Like, until you allow yourself to be afraid and move, be afraid and dream, be afraid and take action, be afraid and pursue, be afraid and go after. Oh my gosh, when I say nothing changes, I truly, truly mean nothing changes. Nothing changes. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your dreams. You owe it to the legacy you're going to leave behind, period. Whether it's just leaving a life behind on this planet, or if you've got children and you're thinking about leaving a legacy for them. If you're a woman and you're like, I want to change the scape for women all over I don't care what it is. Literally and truly, it is such a black and white thing for me that it's like, I cannot in good conscience leave from my little experience, right? Where we had an experience and it doesn't feel good. In no way, shape, form, figure would it feel good to have someone take your action or take your true heart's intention and misconstrued it. Doesn't feel good to me, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to look for more opportunities to give. It doesn't mean I'm not going to stand on a stage in a couple of weeks from now and encourage, hundreds of people to give. That's just not it. I'm still going to be committed to, for me, right? I'm still going to be committed to living the best version of myself, the best version of Tiffany, the best version of a mother, the best version of a leader, the best version of a wife, the best version of a friend that I can possibly be. But it all starts with not allowing fear to be in the driver's seat of my life. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay. And not only is it okay, but you have to know that it's kind of part of the process. And if you feel that moment where you're afraid, it's like, you know what? Embrace the fear. Don't try to hide for it. Don't try to make it something that it's not. Don't feel inferior. I can't tell you many people, kind of live their lives and they always look like a superhero and then we kind of sit back. That's how it used to be for me. 10, 12 years ago when I started my first business, and even when I was trying to figure out how to be a mom, I used to see people who always looked like they were just so big and ballsy, like they could just leave their husband, they could just, move to a new area, they could start a business, and I didn't feel like that. I had a lot of fear riding me, and it's because I used to look at those people and think, well, I don't have what they have. I don't have the money, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the size, I don't have this, like a whole long list. But the absolute hardcore black and white truth is that the only thing that kept me stuck was me. The only thing that allowed me to own that fear was myself. There was no external force saying, Tiffany, stay afraid. And I know for a fact that the moment that I was like, you know what, damn, I am afraid. I'm like acknowledging this thing. Like, I'm afraid and it's okay. But it's like, once I acknowledge the fact that I'm afraid, and I'm also like, man, I'm afraid, but I'm gonna move anyway, that's when the game changes. It's like, it's okay to be afraid. The key and the secret to the whole thing is move anyways. That's it. Move anyways. Be afraid, but move anyways. Why? Because it's simple. Fear hates movement. It's time for us to move. So excited. Yes. See ya.